Hey guys, Raymond here today from the Beginner Photography Podcast, and this week we're talking about how shooting personal projects is going to make your professional work much better. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. This is a massive week. My gosh, you guys are going to go crazy over this episode. So many things are going on right now in life. Like I said last week, it's fall. Everybody's busy with weddings. Everybody's busy with engagements. Just getting crushed over here. But I'm really trying to, power through it. I love this time of year. I love how much work there is to be done. I love staying busy. It is awesome. But sometimes other duties fall behind and you just got to make sure that you just do your best to stay up on those. So that's kind of what my week has been up to. Our 4-month-old now, Parker, has just been, she's been sick. She's starting to move around and she doesn't want to be held because she wants to move, but then she's on the move so much, but she can't walk yet, so then she gets frustrated with that. So there's just lots of crying. It's just lots of crying in this household. And then, of course, Halloween is over now. So our son Charlie is just on the sugar high of just candy 24/7. So it's been quite an interesting week here in the Hatfield house. But listen, guys, I don't want to take up too much time because if you guys follow me on Instagram and you watch the Beginner Photo Podcast Instagram stories, you'll know that a few weeks ago, I ordered a brand new GoPro and GoPro sent me two brand new GoPros. And I've decided that, I don't need two GoPros. What? I only need one GoPro. That's all that I need. So I have decided that I'm going to give the other GoPro away right here on the podcast to one extremely lucky listener. So be sure that you listen to the end of the podcast because that's when I'm going to have all the information and the boring rules and regulations and stuff like that so that you can figure out how to get your hands on this epic piece of hardware. So let's go ahead and get into today's episode. It is with it's a really interesting episode. This week, I talked to a photographer who is used to moving around a lot and having to kind of start over from the beginning a lot and not knowing exactly where her path in life was going until, I don't want to say pretty recently, but she went through a traditional college and got her degree in something completely unrelated to photography, and I think that it's going to match up with a lot of your stories, from the messages that I get from you guys on Facebook or Instagram. You guys are in fields that are nowhere even close to photography related, but you want to be there. You want to become a photographer, and I think that you guys are going to have a mesh of personalities so well and just really click. So let's go ahead and get into today's episode with, I'm so excited, Laura Beck. Everybody, guess what? We have the one and only Laura Beck here with us today, and I'm super excited about this episode. She is an incredible photographer who was actually just published, which is a huge accomplishment, so congratulations. And I can't wait to get in and talk to her. So Laura, can you give the listener a little bit of an introduction on who you are and what it is that you do?
Yes. Hi, thank you for having me. I am Laura Beck from Laura Beck Photography, and I take photos of pretty things and painful things and meaningful things, and I pretty much shoot everything, but I guess my specialties would be birth, boudoir, and beauty at this point in my career. It hasn't always been that way. I used to be more into weddings, but now at this point in my life, I'm only taking on smaller weddings if anybody contacts me for those. We just moved to Texas, so I haven't had any inquiries yet about elopements or small weddings. But
right, so I was looking at your website, and in your bio, it says that, you lived in Texas, you lived in California, New York. I meant to say New York first and then end with Texas. Obviously, you guys just moved to Texas now. I guess, what's the deal with moving around so much?
Well, that's a good question. I was born and raised in New York. That's where I pretty much started my professional career in photography. And then my husband, who was just my boyfriend at the time, ended up moving out to California. Um, and so we both kind of bounced around and did long distance relationship. I went to the Florida Keys for a while, and he was in California by himself. And then I ended up going out to California to be with him. Um, so once I finally went out to California to be with him, we ended up getting married. And now we're in Texas because he's getting his PhD. So
Oh wow, smarty pants. Jeez, I'm jealous. That's crazy. That's wonderful. That's a great story. So, uh, has it been pretty hard for you to? Well, okay. Before I start that question, let me kind of get an idea of your start in photography. So, how long ago did you, I guess, get your start in photography, and like where did it come from?
I, my history with photography started like is basically is when my memories started. My grandfather gave me an old film camera, and every single time I would be over at his house, he would hand me the film camera and say, "Go take pictures." And I would come back over to visit with him, and he would hand me back these albums of pictures that I had taken. And that's basically when I started. After that, I went to high school, did the whole film photography class
Right.
where I learned how to use the dark room, which is I'm super grateful. Had that experience in high school, and then after that, I went to college for graphic design. It was only for a year, and I was in a school where there were photography majors, and it never crossed my mind once that I was ever going to be a professional photographer.
Why is that?
I don't know. I wasn't there yet.
Okay,
Um,
fair enough.
but so I went, did the whole graphic design thing, and that's when I figured out, this is not the path for me either. And I ended up going home and ended up going to school to become a vet tech. And while I was in school for vet tech, I saw this ad in the paper that said photography studio looking for photographers. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll throw together a portfolio and head down there and see what happens. And I was terrified. I had literally no idea what I was doing. I was shooting on like the cheapest camera ever, but I put it together and I went down there and they hired me right away. And so that was about 12 years ago, I think. 11 or I think it's 12 years now. Um, but yeah, so I started doing weddings with them, and at first I started as a second photographer, and then they started giving me my own weddings. And after that, I took a little bit of a break and did some other things. So
So this was more than just like your J.C. Penney's portrait studio. This was like they shot obviously lots of weddings.
yeah, that was their main thing. They did some studio work and some family, and obviously engagement photos were involved in the wedding photography business that they had. But I was specifically one of their wedding photographers, and they had about, I'd say, maybe a total of 6 or 7 of us all working together at that company.
Oh wow, so it was pretty good size. So back I guess 12, 11 or 12, more than 10 years ago, were you guys shooting on film back then?
No, that was when I first got my nice big digital camera, and I'm so grateful that he, hired me and took me under his wing and taught me how to use this camera and taught me how to use my flash. And it really he his influence in training me has still is with me today.
Do you remember what camera that was specifically?
Oh gosh. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. I should
One of
know
the
those
first.
things. Yeah.
That's hilarious. So, a lot of times I like to talk about education, how you figured out photography. So it obviously sounds like you knew quite a bit just from. I'm guessing you grew your love for it when you were a kid, just taking photos all the time and seeing the result, the tangible product in your hands. When high school came along, there was a little bit more knowledge there. Um, so when you actually got on location, wedding day. Here you go with this company. How much of it was, how long would you say it took to, I don't want to say teach wedding photography, because I feel like that's, you know, it'll take forever. You can't just learn wedding photography. You can't know it off the back of your hand. But how long did it take, I guess, being there in the trenches before you felt comfortable with shooting?
I think it took me about a solid 6 months of having weddings every single weekend, where I felt like, okay, if you put me out there on my own, I'll figure this out. But it was just because he really drilled home that I had to know my manual settings. That's the number one thing. If you are starting out in photography, you just have to really know your manual settings.
Yeah, that's super important. Yeah, no. I mean, it's great advice. It's great advice. There's so many times where, I get messages from beginners that are just like, what mode should I use on my camera? And it's like, I always try to push, like, just start shooting manual. Like, if you really want to take your photography anywhere, that's where you need to start, because that's where you're going to shoot forever. But I think that it's, like, really interesting, and I think that it's great that you said this, that even though you've been interested in photography your whole life, you've been learning essentially your whole life, it still took you 6 solid months of shooting on location, being there on the day until you really felt comfortable about shooting a wedding, because it's so important. It's so important to not screw up. Is that right? Is that why?
Yeah, weddings and births. Those are the two I would say that you need to go in knowing what you're doing, because you can't schedule a redo. Other sessions like family and engagements, you can, if you get home and you look at your pictures and you're like, wow, I really messed up, you can always call them back and be like, I would like to reshoot, but not with the wedding and not with the birth. So
you have hooked up with another photographer, right? And that is where the stylized shoot that I saw of yours was from. Is that right?
Yes. Ashley Marie Photography.
Yes.
She's awesome.
Yes. Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you two got together?
Yeah, sure. She actually is newer to the area too, and she reached out to me on Facebook, and we started chatting, and we had plans to get together a bunch. But in this photography community, a lot of times we make plans and don't really follow through. I think maybe it's because we're new, to the area, but maybe we'll get more involved with time. But she actually approached me, and she's like, hey, do you want to do a stylized shoot together? And I was like, yes. And so we collaborated and came up with this awesome Halloween witch coven inspired idea. And we worked out the hair and makeup, and we went, looked through all the dresses and picked out dresses together, got our models. We found the location, which was epic. And we just met up that day, and we worked well together. It was awesome. She's really an amazing artist, and we had such a great time.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I saw that shoot, and it was really cool. It was really unique. I don't think that I've ever seen anything like Halloween, witch, I guess, related, especially in the types of groups that I guess I'm in, being wedding photographers. Most of the images that you see are just very white dresses, very bright, airy. So this was kind of like, oh, it just stood out. Like, what is this? This is really interesting. And the more that I dug deeper into your work, I could tell that, this, a lot of times for stylized shoots, people will, because there's no stress, they will just try something radically different. But I could tell by looking at this stylized shoot and your past work that there was a lot of similarities, and I thought that was really cool. And that it was like, if I thought that this stylized shoot was a breath of fresh air, like, your work is exactly the same. The style that you shoot weddings in is just really cool and refreshing. So
thank you.
Of course, you're very welcome. For any of the listeners who maybe haven't heard of a stylized shoot, can you tell them a little bit about what it is?
I would love to. Styling is one of my favorite things to do in the entire world, because I feel like as photographers we get stuck in not stuck, it's important, you need to make money, but we get stuck in the business side of things at times, and it can become stressful. And styled shoots are, for me, it's reigniting my creativity. It's tapping into something that I wouldn't necessarily have a client come to me and want to be able even to risk on shooting a client, because it's, it pushes your boundaries, or what you feel comfortable doing. So yeah, for me, it's important. I'd say at least every 6 months, I do at least one styled shoot where I pour all my creativity and into the shoot and make it exactly what I want.
So this is like you're hiring hair and makeup, you're finding models, you're finding dresses, flowers, like you're designing everything. You're like a human painter.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I love to do. Yep.
So it sounds like you said that you've done quite a few stylized shoots in the past. When was the first time that you did a stylized shoot?
Um, I want to say that I really got into them within the past 2 years.
Okay.
I took a major break from photography overall. I've always had, like, after my weddings and stuff, in the beginning of my career, I've always had one foot in, one foot out. I was kind of more part time, but now my focus, I'm back in full time, trying to be full time since we moved to Texas. So um, yeah, I really made it more of a priority to really focus on style and keeping my creative juices going. And I feel like the more styled shoots that I do, the more I'm drawing in clients that really like my work. And so it's kind of the added bonus for both of us.
Do you think that they like your stylized sessions and they're trying to hire you to recreate something like that for them?
Not necessarily recreate something for them, but I think it shows them more of who I am and what I'm capable of, and it excites them. I just got an awesome email from a potential client who's like, "I saw your styled shoot, and it's true art, and I want to work with you." And it was just filled with compliments, and it made me feel amazing, but I could tell that it also gave her faith in my ability to take images.
That's important. That's crazy that just from looking at your photos immediately it's like, yep, this is the photographer that I want to shoot with. This is the one who I want to be in front of their camera. That is such a huge compliment. So, when it comes to stylized shoots, is there ever a time where, like, let's say in this instance, you're going to book this client? You want to walk through how you're going to approach the shoot itself? Are you going to say, hey, let's do something crazy with like beach balls and balloons and like gumballs? Or are you going to say, let's find a beautiful field and go out and just walk around? Or
I usually ask them what they're looking for, and from there I kind of give them my options of what I feel like I could pull off. Like, for instance, I would say, if a family, I don't do families very often anymore at all, but if someone contacts me wanting to do a family shoot, I could say something like, I would love to do your shoot. If these are some of the options that we could do. We could do an in-home family session, and those create really, special personal images. And that'll just show like your day-to-day life. And I just go through the options. And I also give them the ideas of, yes, we could go out into nature or do like a city walk and take pictures on our walk through the city. But a lot of times they kind of already have an idea of what they want. So I kind of let them direct me within those guidelines.
right. I gotta ask, how do you get people to do like lifestyle sessions? Every time I've asked a couple, like, hey, let's just do like a Netflix and chill session where we just go to your house and like watch TV and like eat pizza. They're like, our house is dirty. Like, we don't want anybody in here. Like, I get that all the time.
I think it comes back to just having clients that they see your work and they're inspired by it, and they just will come and be like, I trust your vision. Let's do what you want to do. And so it's not really anything that you can do. It's just like luck of getting a client that sees your work and appreciates it, basically.
Okay, love it. Has there ever been a time where a client has said like, you know what, maybe I just want like to have like nice posed photos in front of the camera and like that's it?
Yeah, and I usually say that they're not my client. I'm just not moving in that direction. Even in some of my emails now, I'll say, if you're looking for somebody who is going to just take a picture of you sitting and smiling at the camera, I'm probably not the photographer for you.
Wow. Was that scary the first time you had to say that to somebody?
It was and it wasn't, because that's the direction I'm moving in right now. I want to be shooting things that I really want to shoot, and I am capable of taking pictures of them just sitting and smiling at the camera, but I want to draw in more clients that want to do lifestyle type shoots.
Yeah, that's great. That's absolutely perfect. I would feel scared as well. But I think you're right. I mean, if you know the big picture, if you know what it is that you want to shoot, then just go in that direction. So
yeah, exactly.
has there obviously the point of a stylized session is to bring out these creative juices, to just do exactly what it is that you want to do and just like bring out this vision. Has there ever been a time at a wedding where maybe you took a shot specifically because you did something similar at a stylized session and normally you wouldn't have taken the shot?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every single time anybody shoots anything, you're learning, oh, that works, or oh, that doesn't work. And it gets, at least for me, it gets filed away in my brain for next time, for sure.
So it's just, on top of the stylized, just the creative outlet, it's just as much a learning experience for you, you'd say?
Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome.
Definitely.
If anybody wanted to get into like shooting stylized type stuff, how would you recommend that they go about it? I mean, should they go out, find hair and makeup, find crazy locations, find dresses, find all these vendors and try to get them together? Or should, is that how you started? I mean, you're giving me the nod and the smile, or did you just start small, like taking a friend out with a dress?
Yeah, I started small. I wouldn't say small. I started with my friends basically, but they're all gorgeous and they've got great taste and they see, they trust my vision. And so like I think my first one that I did was with my friend Shannon, and we did a bikini boudoir session on the beach, and that was really fun. And then from there, I would say it took off even more so where, once I got to Texas, I really was looking for models, really looking for amazing locations, always trying to find connections to make beautiful, like styled shoots happen. Obviously having connections to florists and other vendors who are willing to work with you really helps too. So it's good to reach out to those people in your community.
So what's in it for them? Like, if I was just starting out, what is in it for the florist who's giving me like hundreds of dollars worth of flowers? What's in it for them?
I guess that's the same thing that's in it for us, is creativity and having the ability to collaborate with artists that you appreciate and getting your name out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think, when it comes down to it, a lot of people just want to, grow their business. And who knows, sometimes just giving out I don't want to say a handout, but giving out your service like this can so easily turn into even a wedding booking down the line, or just, that close personal interaction and like friendship. That friendship's going to grow and bring you more business.
We just got featured on international designer Maggie Sotaro's website, and that florist and that venue, I mean, they're getting their name all over that website, so it helps.
I saw that, and it's absolutely stunning.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely stunning. I have to ask. So when I first heard of stylized shoots, I thought, it really has to be, I don't know, maybe I thought it was just only like high fashion or just like off the wall stuff, right? Like, I mean, even the example that I gave earlier, like balloons and beach balls and gumball, just like some sort of really like reoccurring theme that would never happen on a wedding day. But the photos that you took, that you posted, are gorgeous. And if I got those as my wedding photos, I mean, hands down, I'd be blown away at them. So, is there a line that maybe you don't cross into surrealism? Do you try to keep it as real as possible? Or do you ever just like, you know what, let's go bananas. We're swimming in bananas.
I love surrealism. I think if you want to push yourself every single time to get out there, I think you'll probably end up with some pretty cool results. But I mean, to be honest, on wedding day, you're not going to have the time to shoot like you are during a styled shoot. So it's something to take into consideration, but that's all the more reason to do styled shoots, because it gives you, again, those ideas that you can hold on to for other sessions and you can come back to and be like, oh, that worked. Let's do that. We only have like 15 minutes. Let's pull out all the stops within these 15 minutes.
How long did that stylized shoot take you?
For planning and everything?
That would be part one. How long did the whole planning process take? And then part two is how long did you actually have to shoot the models? Because they were models, right?
Yeah, they're models. They're a married couple who eloped and models.
I was going to say, they had a lot of chemistry, and the fact that they're married makes it a whole lot more noticeable.
Yeah, definitely. I took weeks to style everything and get everything in order. And I probably spent an hour to 2 hours from the time I got there setting up, doing, different things within the venue to get all the shots that I wanted.
Okay, beautiful. Did you have connections with the venue beforehand, or you just like, hey, guess what, guys? Never met you before. I really want to get into a stylized shoot, into your place. It's beautiful. How do we make that?
Yeah, I actually was on Facebook in a community of photographers, and I had this vision of exactly what I wanted for our location, and I just put it out there. I was like, hey, guys, do you know any place that has exposed brick, great lighting? And one of the other photographers was like, my mom owns this new venue called Le Chateau Venue. It's about like half an hour away. I think it would be perfect for you. And I looked, and it was perfect. It was perfect for what we wanted, and we just lucked out. It's just the community that you can build within Facebook and online is amazing.
Yeah.
It really helps when you're trying to style.
And now this new venue that might not have its name out there has been not only published on your website, but on this large international website as well. I want to kind of switch gears here a little bit and talk a little bit about gear. So you want to tell listeners like what you shoot with and lenses and whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely. I shoot with a 5D Mark III, and my 24 millimeter lens Sigma lives on my camera right now. So I have my 85, I have a 50, a 35, and a 24. But 24 and 35 are my go-to right now, for sure.
24 and 35, two wides. Love it. A lot of people are really scared to go that wide. But obviously, I mean, you completely embrace it. What is it about the 24 that you just love?
Honestly, when I've been shooting mostly births lately, and in these small, cramped rooms, it just captures exactly the documentary style look that I'm going for.
So it works for you. It's not just like, I know that when I was a beginner, I bought the gear that I saw the pros had because they had it. Like, that was really the only reason why. I think in the beginning, I had it all. I had the 24, 35, 50, 85, the 24 to 70, the 70 to 200, the 16, 30. I had it all, right? I had it all. And I never used like 90% of the lenses. I figured out, over time that I only used like, I really only use like these two lenses. I'm just going to stick with these. And then I sold everything else. But I find that beginners, like in the beginning, like they do the exact same thing. It's that, well, if the pro has, like, I just have to have everything and then just sell off whatever I don't use. Do you think that is a pretty good way of learning your style of photography?
Yeah, I do. You got to try lenses to see what you like, I had no idea what I liked even when I was shooting weddings. In my first few years of being a professional photographer, my boss was directing me and giving me, you should get this lens, and I was just following. And I don't think I had a single prime lens back then. And now that's all I have. So it definitely is all about figuring out what works for you and what makes you feel comfortable while you're shooting.
Why no zoom lenses?
I don't know. I just don't like them as much as I like fucking thick lenses.
Okay, so then what is it about the prime that when you put it on your camera, you're like, This is it. Like, I mean, you said that the 24 just lives on your camera, so why not? I'm just playing devil's advocate here, by the way. Why not just have the 24 to 70 on all the time?
I wish I had an answer for you for that. I just don't. I don't know. I think maybe it's because it keeps me moving, and when I'm moving, I'm seeing different angles, or I'm not sure, but.
I mean, that's a completely honest answer. No, I really appreciate that. I wasn't trying to, like, put you in a corner or anything like that. It was just, that's just such a big question that so many people have when they start out is, what lens do I buy next? Like, why should I do this? Yeah, I think that a lot of people get confused as to, like, why would I buy a 24, 35, and a 50 if the 24 to 70 takes care of all that and stuff. But
right.
I think you're right. It makes you move around and it makes you see different angles, and it stops you from being lazy. Okay, so is there any, like, do you use any sort of flash? Do you use anything like that? Or you just...
So not into the flash these days. I have a video light that I have in my bag for bursts in case I need them. But other than that, I'm doing all natural light. So I'm just really enjoying not using flash. I might dabble back into it in a little bit, but for now I'm just flash.
Not doing it for you.
Yeah.
What is the one piece of gear that you can't live without? And that can be software, it can be a computer, it can be anything. Anything photography related. What's the one thing that you... Lightroom. Lightroom.
I love Lightroom. How about you? What's your favorite? What can you not live without?
Oh, I mean, it's obviously it's the same thing. It's Lightroom. You just can't live without Lightroom. Right now, there's no better alternative. But I would say when it comes to shooting, if it comes just purely from, like, the joy of photography, it is. I just bought it. Oh, I left it out there. I'm a Fuji shooter, so I sold all my Canon stuff. Yeah, I love it. So I shoot with a little...
I'm jealous. I've been, like, thinking about moving over to Fuji forever now.
There's a lot of pros and cons. I can't say that it's right for everybody, but it definitely fits for my workflow. I mean, it's a teeny tiny body, right? Super small. But I have a Fuji X70, right? And this is just technically it's a point and shoot camera, but inside it's an APS-C size sensor. It's a super sharp lens, great high ISO performance, and it has, like, a flip out screen. And what I figured out was a ton of fun. One of the reasons why I switched over to Fuji was because whenever I had my Canon cameras at a wedding, people knew that I was the wedding photographer. And every time they looked at me, oh, there's a photographer, and they'd put on, like, this really cheesy smile, and I hated it. That's why I moved to Fuji. I wanted to be confused as a guest, right? And this, it does it for me. So to take that even further, this X70, super tiny, it fits in my pocket, has a flip-up screen, super gimmicky. I was like, I'll never ever use that. But when you take this thing to a wedding and you hand it to a bride and you're like, yeah, just go around taking selfies all day. Suddenly it's just like, they can see themselves, and it's just something that other wedding photographers aren't doing, and it is, like, higher quality than just their iPhone. And right. Now, when I deliver their wedding photos, they're guaranteed to like, the photos of her and her bridesmaid, like, taking a selfie together. So
that is so awesome.
It's just fun.
That's one reason why I really have thought about Fuji is the size.
And yeah, I mean, it's really something that it's like, I mean, I can carry around 2 of these and an X Pro 2 in a small camera bag. In, like, a really small... I mean, really, this whole thing fits 2 camera bodies, 4 lenses... The X70, all my memory cards, it holds 2 flashes as well, and then all my MacMod modifiers. It's everything that I need. It's everything that I need at a wedding. So the size is definitely a plus. But there's a lot of downsides. It doesn't work for everybody. Yeah. Focusing, specifically low light focusing. When it comes to, like, reception, dance floor, you have to use off-camera flash. Otherwise, it's just gonna hunt for focus all day long. Now, there's some people who just, like, put the camera, like, F8 and then just, like, set their flashes full power, set manual focus distance so that they never have to worry about hunting focus, because basically everything's going to be in focus since it's F8. But that's not my style. I don't really like that type of reception. Dance floor photography, I like the really shallow depth of field. I'm very high risk, high reward. So I'll shoot, like, with the 85-1.2, just to get those perfect dance shots. But when it's always hunting for focus, it's tough. It's tough. Also, there's just a few more quirks. It has this awesome ISO dial up at the top, so it's like with the camera not even on, I can change all of my settings so that when I turn it on, like I'm ready to go, like I could just start shooting
I thought it was
immediately.
supposed to be really good in low light.
The photos are, but not focusing. Focusing is very slow. However, like photo quality, especially for a crop sensor, I mean, I have no problem taking this thing all the way up to ISO 6400 and even 8000. And like I'll shoot with it. I know that if I'm shooting at 8000, those photos are going to be black and white. But 6400, I have quite some room to be able to still, shoot those in color and come out with great photos. And also, they have there's a little Fuji, this little Instax printer right here, and it prints Polaroids. So I can take a photo with the camera and then Wi-Fi it over to the printer. I print up like 5 or 6 of these things at the end of the night, hand them to the couple as I'm leaving, and they get to take it on their honeymoon. They always post a photo on Instagram. They're like, our photographer's the best, because now they're leaving with like 5 or 6 actual photos from the wedding day that they can have on their honeymoon, and it just leaves like a great impression. So that sort of stuff is fun. That's the stuff that I love to do. But yeah, when it comes down to businessy type stuff, it's got to be Lightroom, because it's the only thing that's really available out there that's worth a damn, I guess. But if you had to go back in time to well, let's say it was in high school where you said that you didn't think that that the other people were better than you. Is that right? Was it high school or college, you said?
No, not that they were better. They just were photography majors, and I never pictured myself being a professional photographer.
Okay. So if you could go back to that mindset, what is the one thing that you would tell yourself knowing what you know now?
I would have said stay in art school and switch majors and be a photography major.
So you would have switched to majoring in photography?
Absolutely. I really would have. I think, yeah, I do. I think that's what I would say to myself. Other than, I don't regret my path because I still got another degree doing something that I love. But
is it because you knew at that time, like, this is really what I love? Or were you not switching because of outside pressures or what?
I definitely knew that I just didn't want to be a graphic designer, and I wanted to help animals. So I think there's enough room for everything. Even when I was working as a vet tech, I was still doing a little bit of photography for the animal hospital website. And, you can do photography no matter what else you're doing.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I did at that point in my life.
Okay. I love it. Okay. So now custom last question for you. I've never asked anybody this question. This is only for you. So I was reading the bio on your website, and, your own personal wedding was featured in Style Me Pretty, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. So I had to check it out, right? And the photos were absolutely gorgeous. Your photographer was incredible. Wait, I'm going to give them a shout out right here. I'm actually looking at it right now. Wait.
Danielle Pa.
Yes. Absolutely wonderful photos. Halfway down, there's a photo of the dessert table, and there's a picture of the most beautiful pumpkin pie I've ever seen in my entire life. You wouldn't happen to know who made that pumpkin pie so that I could get one for myself, would you?
Yeah, actually I would. Yeah. I think it's Le Paris Bakery in Carmel, California. I think that's where we got it.
I'm going to have to find out if they ship.
Yeah, I'll look it up and find out for sure and send you the link, because I'll remember as soon as I see the name.
It looked absolutely incredible. I hope that it tasted half as good as it looked.
Yeah, they did all of our pies. We're huge pie people, so
beautiful.
We had a whole dessert table full of pies.
You guys are my tribe. We totally went off topic there, but Laura, I thank you so much for your time and everything that you contributed to our listeners and let them know. So, last thing, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you online?
You can find me at www.laurabeckphotography.com. I'm also on Facebook and on Instagram. And thank you so much for having me, Raymond.
Beautiful. No worries. No worries. I'm going to link to everywhere that you are online so that the listeners can find you and follow along on your journey. Laura, again, thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Guys, what did you think about that episode? Seriously. I really enjoyed talking to Laura. We talked about a ton of great stuff. We talked about, everything from what it's like when you're starting out, what it's like, to feel like, you don't belong. Like, oh, no, I'm not going to be a professional photographer. Like, I know that I want to help animals. And then, like, now be in a place to where, wow, like, you realize that, you can make a go at this passion, passion that was once a hobby. Well, I guess it's always been a passion. This hobby that has always been a passion that now you can make a go at it because, like, you're just shooting for yourself, right? When you shoot for yourself and you shoot what you want to shoot, how you want to shoot, in a style that you want to shoot, other people are going to see that. Other people are going to see that, and if they love it, they're going to remember you. And when they remember you, they're going to reach out to work with you, for you to work with them, for everybody to work together, right? And that's never a bad thing. It has obviously done so much good for Laura. If you guys haven't paused the podcast, which you should have, to go check out Laura's Facebook page, her website, her Instagram. Her work is so good, guys. Seriously, like, go check it out. She's going to be like one of the big names in photography soon. So how cool would it be to say that you knew Laura way back when? I'm serious. Okay, guys, here it is. I know that at the beginning of the podcast, I teased about this GoPro giveaway. Well, I was just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I really do have a GoPro. I was kidding about I really have a GoPro. I got myself confused there for a second. I really have a GoPro, and I'm really giving it away. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, here's the box right here. Fresh GoPro, right? So the story is that I bought a GoPro. GoPro sent me two. Two. You guys are going to get one. I don't need two GoPros. Who doesn't want a GoPro? So here's the thing, right? This is the GoPro Hero 4 Silver, okay? I picked the silver because the black, sure, it's the higher up. It has 4K video recording. I don't shoot in 4K. I don't record in 4K. I want ease of use. I want something that I'm going to enjoy shooting. And the silver has an awesome screen. Let's see if the camera will. There we go. The GoPro has an awesome screen, just like that. And it is so much fun to just walk around with, take photos, take a little video. It is like a tiny camera. Like, that's really the best way to describe it when it has a screen on the back. So I'm going to give it away to just one lucky listener because, well, all that I have is one. So, do you want a GoPro? You do? No way. Okay, well, here is how you can go ahead and win yourself a GoPro. First thing that you need to do right now is go to beginnerphotographypodcast.com/GoPro. From there, you're going to be able to sign up for the Beginner Photography Podcast newsletter. And if you've already signed up for the Beginner Photography Podcast newsletter, then it'll just give you an entry. It won't sign you up for anything extra because you already get our epic, awesome emails with lots of information. So you're going to be signed up for the Beginner Photography Podcast newsletter. And what I'm also going to send you is our 5 tips to being and taking better photos, so being a better photographer today. Like stuff that you can implement without even having a DSLR, just having your iPhone or a GoPro, how you can start taking better photos right now. And what I'm also going to send you, like, this isn't even just like for the winner of the GoPro. This is for everybody. If you sign up for the newsletter, like, you're going to get this. You're going to get all this good stuff. You're going to get my favorite Beginner Photography Podcast custom Lightroom preset, which I use in my photography. This is the same preset that I use when I import all my photos into Lightroom before I start editing them. It's just a great start to begin editing. So from there, if you don't have Lightroom, you can download it right there from our website as well. Once you're done, be sure that you like us on Facebook. That's where you're going to get all the latest news and updates about the contest, and there are more ways to get extra entries. And Facebook is the only way that you're gonna learn how to get extra entries and win yourself a sweet free GoPro. And then all you got to do is stay tuned, listen to the podcast Monday, December 5th, when I announce the winner of the GoPro live. Well, it'll be live when I record it, but when you listen to it, it will have been recorded. So listen Monday, December 5th to find out who won the GoPro on the podcast. I picked Monday, December 5th. It gives you a month from today if you're listening on the day that this podcast comes out, Monday, November 7th. And it'll give me time to get it to you so that you can use it for all of your fun holiday festivities and just take some great photos. Really start to figure out how to use this thing. It's going to be awesome. And, of course, I'm going to want you to share those photos on Instagram so that I can check them out. I want to see everything that you do with this awesome GoPro and everything that you can create. So, that's it, guys. That is how you can win a GoPro. If you want to win a free GoPro, if you just want a free GoPro, that's all that you got to do. Go to beginnerphotographypodcast.com/GoPro and then just follow the directions. Sign up for the newsletter. Just make sure that you like us on Facebook. And then stay tuned Monday, December 5th to find out who the winner is. That is it. That's all that you got to do. Guys, I hope that you're as excited about this as I am. I'm really pumped about this. So guys, that's it. I hope that you have a great week. I hope that you really enjoyed this episode with Laura Beck. If you did, please head over to the beginnerphotographypodcast.com. Check out the show notes. Leave her a comment. Just say, hey, Laura, thank you so much for everything that you shared. Find her on Instagram. Do the same thing if you want to there. And that's it. Guys, get out there. Enjoy shooting. Have fun. It's starting to get cold. Make sure that you bundle up. And I will see you next week. Later.